only a little bit, but it was still a really good watch. Folklore is like right up my alley, so when the ritual decided to take that direction, I was really, really hyped. I gave it, I think, a 4 on my Letterboxd. I felt like I was watching the Blair Witch Project, but with a cast of all men, and I really liked the Blair Witch Project, so that's not a complaint at all. I really liked it. The monster design was so unique, like I don't think I've ever seen a monster like that. So, I don't know, it was really cool. Why don't we get into what makes it cosmic horror? Fear of the unknown is a major theme for this movie. Every weird encounter increased this feeling, and it multiplied as soon as people started getting taken by this mysterious force. Even after, like, the cult, like, the monster of Mordor was revealed, it was still weird enough and otherworldly enough that it was still an unknown for Luke. Our main character never got to fully understand it, so up until the point where he left, there was still this fear of the unknown, because you didn't know what the monster could, like, be capable of. You don't know what each of these people are doing, so all that to say, fear of the unknown is a major cosmic horror aspect of this film. The next theme is challenge human privacy or human insignificance. Mordor and her worshippers make sure that we know that humans are not the ones in charge here. Mordor can manipulate the forest, she can give her followers eternal life, despite the fact that she, like, needs humans to survive, since she feeds off their pain and suffering. I would argue that the ability to look into and change the minds of the friends of our main characters, to manipulate their thoughts, that definitely counts as a way of, like, being challenged. Because me personally, if that happened to me, I would feel way worse than insignificant, especially with the Jötnar being related to the Norse god Loki. Although that's like an aspect that's explored in many human religions, like, oh, we're related to gods, etc. That's not an aspect that's explored in this movie, and knowing that your enemy is related to a god definitely increases the level of insignificance that the characters must feel. Forbidden knowledge is all over this film. The cult and the existence of the Jötnar itself is a great example. Before even meeting any of the cult members, once there was any interaction with Mordor, the friends were unable to leave. Their two options were to, 1, become a symbol or a sacrifice like Dom and Hutch did earlier in the movie, or 2, join the cult if they were marked, only if they had been chosen to have suffered enough by Mordor. Madness was explored in this film in a couple of different ways. The main ones are the monster's manipulation of the men's thoughts and actions, and the isolation in the woods. With Luke hallucinating the liquor store at every turn, and Phil's praying scene, it was really clear that Mordor was doing something to the men's minds. Plus, isolation, being completely alone in the woods, has never been known to be good for someone going crazy. Being stuck in a forest that was changing around them all the time, like nothing was ever consistent, definitely added to the feeling of madness. The theme of horrific self-discovery is one that I'm torn on. There's an aspect of horrific self-discovery for each of the men. Being the protagonist, Luke's was fleshed out the most, but it was implied that all of the men were dragged through their worst moments by the monster. Now, theoretically, Luke's grief and his guilt over Rob's death would be a good point, but what makes me question this is the ending. Throughout the story, his entire character arc was him dealing with guilt and his actions when he let Rob get killed in the liquor store. Right? He chose not to take action. But his character arc was him learning to change that. Now, when we get to the end of the movie and he's fighting against Mordor, this was him learning to take action. He escaped, he changed, he acted differently. This made Mordor not even really want him anymore, because he'd learned and he'd grown from his pain and from his suffering. So he wasn't as important to her anymore. Plus, this change in him, since she feeds off the pain and suffering and guilt, had weakened her. This is what allowed him to escape. So this change is kind of horrific, you know? the idea of wrestling with the guilt over being blamed for your friend dying is a horrific form of self-discovery, but by the end it kind of is the opposite, and it's kind of like a pleasant self-discovery of, oh wow, he can change. So I'm torn on this one. While there are more cosmic horror themes, and there were more cosmic horror themes present in this movie, I think that these were the most prevalent. This film did fantastic at inducing dread between the setting of them being alone in the woods, the story itself, all the deaths, the imagery. The imagery was fantastic when it came to the dead animals and the stick figure, and like obviously the monster itself. I have never seen a monster design exactly like this, and that was fascinating. I loved the monster. And then like the cult and their activities and like the old skulls and like the ancestors and stuff. The story was fantastic at inducing dread, especially throughout the first half. And I think that since that's like, in my opinion, one of the most important aspects of cosmic horror, I think this was a fantastic cosmic horror film. I really enjoyed watching it, and I think you should too. So, thank you!